parties are a very bourgeois notion. It is only very recently, within the last, 200 years, I would say, maybe 300 at best, that people were able to get, and this is general populations, were able to get involved in the politics of their culture or their nation. Usually that was left up to some type of aristocratic class of people, or maybe even some group of technocrats then, so maybe some experts. So usually politics, yes, was left up to someone who took a position because of their birthright, usually. And this is the first time in history over the last couple of 100 years that we have had the potential to have the general population involved in politics, and we express that through the representative politics system, so i.e. liberal democracies. And so as a result of this bourgeois system, you have parties that form, because you have groups of these representatives forming a party, so they are stronger. So party politics is a manifestation and a response to bourgeois society. Being involved in a party is and I don't mean this in a defamatory way or a derogatory way or in a pejorative sense, but party politics is bourgeois, okay? It's bourgeois because it has come out of the bourgeois system. And yes, having a communist party, even though it's got the word communist in it, is still a bourgeois ideal. Because when working people were struggling against capital back in the day and they won enfranchisement, they were able to vote for the first time, they formed workers' parties, and they would generally coalesce around communist parties or socialist parties or something like that. But they were parties because they wanted to partake in the bourgeois political system that they had up until that point, or very recently, not had access to. So they were just hey, let's form our own parties, kind of thing. And so parties are political expressions and developed forms of political expression within the bourgeois political system. Now, I would put it to you, I would put it to the group, that we are not looking to replicate bourgeois society, and so we're not looking to create a party out of this endeavor, this political endeavor that we are all undertaking together, because we're not looking to recreate and reproduce bourgeois society. We're looking to revolutionize society. And I don't think fighting fire with fire is the ultimate way to do it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get involved in politics at all. I think that is not the point here, but we're not forming a political party here. We're on social media. And so I do feel there is a lot of merit in forming a movement, a sentiment among, a group like what we're developing here, that is able to, with much versatility and much agility, be able to adapt to whatever mood and current is running through the population at a certain time, and trying to get people to understand what's really happening in the world, as opposed to having to sign up to a doctrine or having to sign up to a specific ideology. You kind of can help expose them to an understanding of how the world works, to rally some people behind a cause. But there is obviously, I think, a important point in making a distinction between wanting to start a movement or wanting to be involved in a movement, a general current and sentiment that runs through the broad population, so the majority of all of us, and subscribing to a party and towing the party line. I think there is a very big difference there. And I would also suggest as well that movements, they transgress epochs and times. So if you look at things through a historical materialist lens, and you look at society instead of different ages of history as maybe general historians or bourgeois historians will describe it, and you look at it in a historical materialist sense, and you look at kind of the primitive communist societies, then the slave societies, then the feudal societies, and then we got the capitalist mode of production. If you look, movements, populism or popular support happen throughout the ages, where there is a sentiment within the broader population that there needs to be change and people will fight for it. It is how you direct those movements that really help make a qualitative change in history and like the difference between one epoch and another. Like there's obviously the seeds for change are there, the structural elements are there to revolutionize society, but it's a broad movement that does help give birth to the revolution. A broad sentiment within the general population. And like that is more of something that is kind of a feature in civilized or complex human societies than parties. Ollie Atlas, the worst things get people to understand what they need to do and who the real bad guys are before the wrong people are blamed or things get wrongfully violent. Yes, we're talking about sentiments in the population that lead to movements. There is a lot of sentiments going on at any one time, and there's a lot to be disgruntled by right now in the 21st century, and that is usually co-opted, that sentiment, and turned into a movement for like fascistic or reactionary causes, not revolutionary causes, because revolutionary causes are directly antithetical to capitalism. So like, you know, they're never going to support a revolutionary movement. They'll support reactionary ones. Even if they don't ally with capitalism, they're much safer than any type of revolutionary movement. How are you actually going to build the revolutionary movement you envisage? Like through anarchist ways, such as building federations of councils of workers, communities, and consumers, ? Or like ML, Marxist-Leninists or Marxist-Leninist Maoists with a party. And how do you want people to be a part of the movement? So basically, you know, I had to think about this for a bit. I basically responded with, you know, doubt is good. It implies critical thought. Initially, we share ideas. We spread the word as part of this movement in an effort to reach the broader working class. Working people's consciousness has been completely obliterated since the neoliberal consciousness, so the ideological framework reproducing this stage of the mode of production based on capital, came to succession. So working people's consciousness has been obliterated since the neoliberal consciousness came to succession. Now, I think that like any type of movement, any type of, you know, political party even, if they're worth their salt, wouldn't need to establish the existing situation. And that was something that I think Lenin was big on. I think that's something that Marx basically spent all of his time talking about, was like, what are your material objective conditions? Not the ideological side of things, not the culture wars, not the identity politics that's going on. That's got nothing to do with what is the reality in front of you. And like a large part of the reality that we face at the moment is that like people, a large majority of the world's population is just pissed off, and like rightly so, because of like the struggles that they face under this latest stage of capitalist development.
Remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery.
I am on Patreon. Please follow the link in the description and sign up for free. We are trying to build a revolutionary community over there. So go become a member for free and join the conversation. If you can contribute financially, that would help a lot.